Hi everyone, it's Anne here from Positively Papercraft. Today I'm doing a video I haven't done for a long time, which is 10 cards. So 10 Christmas cards. I get asked all the time to do these. So hopefully I've come up with 10 sort of decent cards that you could make for Christmas. And primarily I'm kind of thinking of using what you've got, using our stash. So I've just been raking around to see what I've got. Some stuff is really old, but you know, that's the kind of idea. So let's get on with our first card. Okay, card number 1. I've got everything ready. It's all a 5x7, so 5x7 card. I've got a red piece which I've cut just slightly smaller. An even smaller piece in white which I have embossed with an embossing folder, which happens to be this, which was gifted to me in a swap last year, I believe. Lisa Horton, Hearts, Cones and Bows. Use whatever you've got. So I've done that. And then I've just grabbed a bauble die that I had. Very old. This is years old. It is a shaker one, but I'm not making it a shaker. So what I've done is I've just cut out 5 of the bauble die in different scraps of paper. I just raided the scraps that I've got. So I've cut 5 out. Then I have cut out 2 in acetate. Okay, now I'm going to show you this. I'm saying acetate. What I'm using as well a lot is this. Now this is like a kind of cake wrap. You get it from Amazon and it is a massive roll, and it's one of the thicker ones that I've had. So, you know, if you're making a cake, you would like, bakers would like put it round the cake just to stop it from like collapsing or whatever. This makes brilliant acetate because it cuts with the die. I do love regular acetate, but it won't always cut with your dies. And you have to end up cutting it out with scissors. So I will, put that away. I will put the link for that because it's obviously not as thick as acetate, but it's pretty thick. So I've got 2 of them. Sorry, my hair's falling out. And I've cut 2 of the little bauble top things. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to cut all of these baubles in one go. So I'm going to mark the top one with a pencil and a ruler of where I want to cut it, just so I don't put it in the trimmer and then it ends up totally, you know, wonky. So got a pencil and a ruler. I can use the lines in my mat to make sure the lines are straight. So I'm going to cut one here. And then there isn't really a rhyme or reason. I suppose I should measure it, but I'm just looking. So that would be the top, that would be the bottom. And then this is 1 3/4 gap that I've left in the middle. So if I divide that into 3, what will that be? I've got brain fog. Let me see. Right, so what I did was I rubbed them out and I started again. And I've just basically drew in 1 2 3 4 lines, because if I give you measurements, your bauble, chances are it's probably a completely different bauble to mine, a different shape. So just put in, you know, 4 pencil lines that you think are even, okay? And then I'm going to take all of the baubles together and I'm going to cut them all out. Let me get some scissors. Now it's quite thick. You could use your trimmer if you want, but I'm going to chance the scissors. So that's all of my little bits. So the idea is we're going to take our acetate bauble. So we're going to start the bottom. I would glue this on here. Then I'm going to miss one. And I'm going to go in for another one. Now, what you could do is to help you keep the distance right, you can put this one here, but we're not going to glue that one down. We're going to glue the next one down, and then we would remove that. Do you see what I mean? So let me start putting this together, and hopefully you can see what I mean. I'm just gonna, and I've just basically drew in 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, because if I give you measurements, your bauble, chances are it's probably a completely different bauble to mine, a different shape. So just put in, you know, 4 pencil lines that you think are even, okay? And then I'm going to take all of the baubles together, and I'm going to do that with the next one, because we've got 2. And then I'll be back, because I can't even, there it is, I can't see the bauble. And then we would come along, I can't pick anything up on this mat, it's terrible. We would then come along and put our little bauble top on. So let me just do the next one. Okay, so I've done that, and then I had a little idea as well. What I've done is I've took some gold mirror card and I've just sliced it into really thin little strips, just with a little trimmer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one here, and I will just trim it off the side of the bauble. So I can just put some glue on. And then I can use my lines on my mat to help us get it right. Straight rather. And just glue that on there, let that dry. Same with a little one on the end. I mean, you could do this with glitter card, whatever you want. And that one on there. And then once I think they're dry, I can then come along with my scissors and just snip that off. And I think that looks really pretty with that gold foil on there. So kind of reminds me of, do you know, like you get those glass baubles or plastic ones and they have like glitter or sparkly bits in. It kind of reminds us of them. So we're going to put our card together. So let me quickly get all this glued on. Okay, so that's the basis of our card, and what the idea is we're going to kind of pop our baubles like this, but we need to put our foam tape or foam pads on the back of the paper where the paper would be. Obviously we don't want any to show through on the acetate. So I think I might have, I mean, if you don't have any for this thin strip, it really doesn't matter. This one here, and I'm thinking I will probably put the sentiment across the bottom, but isn't that so pretty? Let me grab a sentiment and I'll be back. All right, I've just stamped Happy Christmas just from a random stamp set in my stash, and I've got a bit of this gold card left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it on here, just so it's got like a little border around it. Get my glue on it. And then I am just gonna try to follow around with my scissors. You could use a trimmer if you want, but I think I can manage it. That's not too bad. And I will pop that up on a bit more of that foam. I'll have it here, I think. There we go. I think that is absolutely beautiful. So let's move on to card number 2. Card number 2. So I'm sure I saw this kind of card on Instagram, or I can't think, it was the other day. I just saw it and I thought, oh, that's really pretty, and it's very similar to this, but I just can't think who it was or what it was. But this is a 5x7. I've just took a smaller piece of patterned Christmas type paper. Now, what I've done is I've took this white piece of card. Now, I don't know if you can see all the little textures in that. It's so beautiful, and I bought it years ago, like a place that sells card offcuts. You get like a huge box and it's just full of like really good size ones, and this was in it, and it's so nice. That's what I'm using. And I don't know if you remember, a while ago I did a TEMU haul, and I hauled these, all of these sort of flowers and bows that were in a TEMU haul. So that's what I'm using, the bows. And also the glossy cardstock that I hold on TEMU as well. It's so nice. I'm quite addicted to this glossy cardstock. So what I've done is I've just chose pink and mint, love them colours, and I've just cut loads of them bows out. And what I've done is I've already cut them on double-sided adhesive, so that when I stick them on, I'm not having to worry about glue and stuff like that. So the best thing to do, so that's 5x7. This I cut to, it looks like 3 7/8 by 5 7/8. So I think the best thing to do really is to get your bows and kind of guess where you want them. Now, they're going to be hanging off the page and stuff because I want it to look like, you know, sort of, I suppose, an embossing folder type of thing in a way. So just get your bows, and I might keep the smaller ones to fill bits in. And these have like extra little layering pieces that you can put on the top as well. They are really nice little bows, you know, so I can add that stuff on later once I've got them all on. And basically this is all I'm going to do. I think that goes with that, and then it has a little bit in the middle, I think, somewhere, but I don't know. I'll find all them little bits later. Is it this one? Yeah, these have like little bits, but as I said, we can add them after. And yeah, I'm just gonna add these bows however I see fit, just to kind of cover the card in them where it looks you know, it doesn't just kind of look like we've just stuck them on type of thing. So you really want to get that done first, and then you can end up sticking your little bows on. Okay everyone, so there's my bows all stuck down. I've added the little bits. Now just raid your stash, see what bows you've got. You don't even need glossy cardstock. I just like using it. Use whatever you have, okay? So I am now gonna cut off the excess bows hanging over the edge. Isn't that so cute? So let's put this together. And then on this bit here, I'm gonna pop this up with foam pads. The bows all stuck down. I've added the little bits. Now just raid your stash, see what bows you've got. I love that. That is so sweet. Let me grab a sentiment. So I've just grabbed again stamps from my stash, and I've gone for Holly Jolly Christmas, and I've got them on here. I don't know whether I'm going to have it all in a row or I might just cut them out and sort of split them up on the design, but I'm going to try heat embossing them with gold powder. Now sometimes these kind of stamps don't really look nice heat embossed, but I'm going to try. So if not, I'll just probably do them in black or something. Stamps from my stash, and I've gone for Holly Jolly Christmas, and I've got them on here. I don't know whether I'm going to have it all in a row or I might just cut them out and sort of split. Like it sort of hasn't heat embossed. That Christmas one's turned out good, but no, I think I'll just go for black ink. I did have a feeling it probably wouldn't work, but I just wanted to try it nevertheless. So let me just do it in black. Okay, there we go. I went for the black and I just cut them up Holly Jolly Christmas. So I think that's lovely. A great way just to use some little dies you might have, you know. I mean, it doesn't have to be bows. It could be anything really, something else you want to try. But yes, that's turned out really sweet. I like that. So let's move on to number 3. Okay, so card number 3. This is going to be a double length card, a DL, which is, now my brain's gone blank again. Let me get my ruler. 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and then scored at 4 1/8 in the middle. So that's the card base. I've got some of that acetate again. And what I've done is I've took a smaller piece of white card and I've just die cut 3 stars out of it. Then I have got a pink piece of card and I've cut loads of little stars. So basically these are just a few little layering stars, and then I've just gone ahead and cut out like the inside, you know, that type of thing. I've used the glossy card again, blue, mint, and I've used silver. So it's sort of going to be like a pastel-y sort of colour. So this is the pink card. This will go underneath this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over And I'm going to take that piece of acetate, just a rough piece that I've got, and I just want to make sure it covers all of these star little windows. Because we're not going to see this, obviously it's going to be hidden. So yeah, that looks pretty good to me. And I'm just going to glue this down. Hopefully that should be enough. There we go. Just press that down, make sure it's all stuck. Try not to move it because you don't want to get any glue showing in your little windows. There we go. So we've got that like that. So I want to put some shakers behind here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I've got that thin tape. Now I might be able to fit some in between there, and the only thing is I just don't want the shakers like going where we're not going to see them, which is just basically trying to save our shaker bits. So I think what I'll do is I'll put foam tape all the way around the corner, the edges first. Might have to go and get another roll. Oh, I might get away with this one actually. So there we go. And then I'm going to try and get some in between. Do you see that star there? Just so it's not rolling around where it doesn't need to be really. I don't think I'm going to fit any through there, but I can sort of mark these bits off. And I've run out of tape, I think. So I can just put shakers in there and there. So I've got pink and white snowflakes. Obviously use whatever you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the shakers onto the pink part. Actually, no, I can't, because then I might end up getting them stuck to the tape. So yeah, we'll have to put them in this way and hope it, then the trouble is getting it straight. You see, this is why I prefer to put them on the card. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to hope I don't catch the tape with them. It's just sort of keep them in the middle. Let me get this right. So yeah, I'm going to separate this one so I don't get them stuck on the tape, because I know the tape is going to go there. So yeah, that should be fine. And these ones move around freely anyway. These two, it's just, yeah, that should be good. So I'm going to peel the tape off and we're going to get this stuck down. And there we go. That's really sweet, that. So what I'm going to do with these is I've got 3 of these larger ones and I'm going to glue them back on to there like that. Do you see? I'm going to glue them back on there, and then with all these little ones that I have left, what I might just do is sort of glue these sort of all around, so it's just like a nice sort of star effect, if you get what I mean. Isn't that pretty? So let me grab a sentiment. I've done Christmas Blessings, which is from this same stamp, Christmas Pines, and I think I can put this here and disguise the little blip. And then I've got some enamel dots, which I might put up here and hide that little blip. So there you go. It's turned out beautiful, actually. I like this card a lot. So Christmas Blessings, it will cover this, my little muck up. There you go, you can't tell. And then these are like a sort of minty sort of colour and a pink. So I might put this one here over the blip. Get a pink one there. And oh goodness, I don't know, there, one there. Now all that's left to do is to pop it on our card base. And again, I want this to be quite dimensional, so I'm going to use these foam pads again, which is from this same stamp, Christmas Pines, and I think I can put this here. That's absolutely beautiful. That's turned out so much better than I had in my head, so I'm really glad about that. And I'm loving this glossy cardstock from TEMU. But of course you don't need it, use whatever you have. But yeah, number 3. So we're on a roll. I think this is my favourite one actually up to now. So let's move on to card 4. Okay, so we're going to move on to card number 4. Now this one is going to be a 6x6. So what I've done is I had a few of those stars left anyway from the previous cards, so I've stuck with the same colours, the glossy sort of peachy pink and mint, and this time I've used some gold card as well. So I've cut loads of them out. I've got my card base, I've got a bit of that pink glossy is just a matte, and then the top layer of the card again in white, but just a bit smaller. And what I've done is I've just took a circle die, if I can pick it up, and I've basically just drew around it just to create like a sort of, you know, guide for me. And the circle happens to be 3 3/4 inches. So I've done that, just drew around it with a pencil, but before I do anything else, I've grabbed an old embossing folder by Stampin' Up, which is softly fallen. So I am just going to quickly run this through, but draw the line first, obviously, because the circle first, because you'll struggle to do it after you've embossed it. So let me just run this through the machine. There we go. I have run that one through, so I can put these out the way. So basically I am going to take the larger stars that I've cut out, and first of all I am going to create like a wreath shape with these stars here. So I'm going to alternate the colours, and I'm just going to build it round, and I need to make sure I get it all in the right place first. So don't just go in and glue it down, because the chances are it'll be wrong. So just keep doing that. And then I will have a look and see what it looks like. Because obviously you want to get it in, you know, as much of a circle shape as you can. And then I've got some of the gold ones to fill in, but we're going to put them up on foam pads, so it's kind of different levels to make it a bit more interesting. Now that's not really, well, it's not too bad, but I'm not happy completely with it, so we'll shift it around a bit. And just until you're happy and you think it's the good basis of a circle or a wreath. It's not too bad, but I think it's a little bit more heart-shaped at the minute. This is just probably the hardest bit, is just getting them in the right place. So let me fiddle about with this and try and get it right. That doesn't look too bad, actually. And then all I'm going to do is just glue these down. All right, so that's not looking too bad. And I have some of these left still, and I've just put a foam pad on them. And I'm just going to kind of put them where I think it could do with maybe a couple more. Definitely one here. Let's see. Yeah. Another one there. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. So I am gonna glue this on to the glossy piece that I cut out. Yeah, so that's that glued on there. And then I've got my card as well. Okay. And then again, I've just raided some stamps and I found a Merry Christmas to You and Your Family. I've heat embossed that and I'm going to pop that in the middle. And I think this is beautiful. It's turned out so pretty. So I'm going to pop that. There we go. Not even straight. It's not. It's cross-eyed. That's better. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. So that's another one. Let's move on to number 5. Right, let's move on to number 5. So again, I've got a 5x7 card base. I've got a piece of this white card here. And what I've done is I've took a masking sheet and I've cut out a circle. Okay, so I've cut out a circle just from a die. And I've grabbed this stamp and die set. I've never even used it. Chloe's Winter Foliage. I'm not using the dies, just the stamps. So any sort of Christmassy kind of stamps you've got, you can use. So I've cut the masking sheet to exactly the same size as the card. And we're going to sort of make a bauble, but stamp inside of it. Sorry, let me have a drink. So I'm going to get this masking sheet stuck down. So again, I've got a 5x7 card base. I'll do for me. So we're going to sort of stamp around and inside, and then I'm going to watercolour them. So I have got some of them here. Let me move this cable because it's going to start and get in the way. Got some of the stamps. I'm using VersaFine ink because I'm going to use my Zig real brush pens. I love these pens. So I think I'll go in with this big one. Ink all over us. And then, I mean, you can stamp sort of on and off so it looks kind of natural, I suppose. Then it's going to be quite hard to watercolour these actually because they are quite small, but I'll try. Where can we put this one? Maybe here. Then I've got the little holly and berry one. I might just pop this sort of in the middle. Oh, that's moved. Damn. Right, I'm going to have to start this again. Sorry. Right, I've literally just peeled it off and turned the card round because I don't want to waste it. So hopefully it'll be okay. So start again. All right, so that's what I've done. Now I'm going to peel the tape off and hope it's worked because I did tear the masking tape, but I'm hoping. Oh yeah, that's worked really well actually. Really happy with that. So I've literally got 3 colours: mid green, olive green and carmine red or carmine red. So I'm going to go in with the sort of mid green. I'm going to do that in the middle. So I'm just going to brush some on. And I've got my brush and a bit of water. And I'm just going to bring that to the outside. You see, I love these pens. They are so easy to use and blend. I mean, if you want to use alcohol markers, that's fine. Pencils, use whatever you want. Now, what I'm going to do is make sure this is dry, but I'm going to, this bit that was cut out from the circle, all I'm going to do is place it on. I'm not going to stick it down. I just want to cover the sort of stamped images. And I'm going to take these Curatate gorgeous metallic-y watercolours and I'm going to splatter some of the golds just around. So I just need to get my brush. I've just tried to cover some of the thing with kitchen paper because when you're doing this it goes everywhere. So I think I'm going to go for this, is it 906? Honestly, these are just beautiful, beautiful colours. Just splatter some around. And then I might go for a bit of this sort of colour here, which is 904 if you have these. I think that'll do. I just wanted it really light. Isn't that so pretty? You can see the gold in that. I'm going to let that dry and then we'll come back and finish it off. Okay, so I'm pretty happy that that's dry. I have cut out that little thing from the bauble again, the little bauble top. I'm going to glue it on there. Now, I think it's probably best to just maybe draw a piece of sort of string on it. So I might just do that with this gold gel pen. I've been in my stash again. I've got this penny black Sweetest Moments and I'm going to use Very Merry Christmas to You. I'm going to stamp it on the bottom. I've got some of these little enamel dots which I'm going to stick around, so that's the idea. So I'm going to get this glued on first. There we go. I am really pleased with that actually. That is very, very pretty. So I hope you will have a try of that one. Let's move on to number 6. Okay, so we have card number 6, I believe. 5 by 7 again. And the idea is quite similar to this in a way. So what I have done is I've cut out lots of snowflakes, and I wanted them to be quite dimensional, so I tried double-sided foam, like foam adhesive stuff, but they won't die cut. You tend to find that a lot. So what I've had to do is then cut the same die from foam. This is 4mm foam. If you watch my channel, you know I use this stuff a lot, and that's what I'm going to have to use. Now obviously it's not as good as having double-sided foam, but like adhesive foam, but it is what it is. So as you can see, I've done them and I've glued them on. It cuts beautifully. It's just a little bit more work, that's all. So I've got 2 more little snowflakes to glue on. So just take your time, just pop them out, they will come out. You don't want to be stretching your foam, because when you go to put your die cut on, it's not going to fit, it's going to be too small for the foam. So don't stretch it, just get a pokey tool, poke them out, just take your time. So there's that, and then I've got this one to do, and then I will just glue the die cut snowflake onto the foam. So I'll quickly do this one. And what I have done as well is I've cut out some paper strips from red and pink card, because I'm going to sort of make like I suppose a sort of candy cane background, but rather than just using like patterned paper, I'm making my own. So what I've done is I've just cut out lots of strips of red and smaller skinny ones in this nice sort of baby pink colour. So let me quickly glue the little snowflake on. So just as long as you get the glue on any, you know, sort of little fiddly bits to stop them from getting snagged and stuff on your foam, and just pop them on, get it all lined up right. You could put like something a little bit weighty on the top to make sure it sticks, but it's working really well. Like I say, it's a little bit more fiddly, but it works perfectly. So I've just got one more to do, but I'll do that off camera. So I'm going to have, now these are going to get stuck straight onto the card, because I'm going to have another piece of card which is going to hold the snowflakes. So I think all I'll do, I didn't put double-sided adhesive on, I forgot. So I'm probably going to have white, red, then the pink, white, red and pink. I'm just going to keep doing that all the way on the card front itself. Just glue them down and then trim them off from the reverse. So I'll do that and I'll be back. There we go. I think that's turned out beautiful, and obviously I just turned it round and just snipped it all off. So again, I've got some of that beautiful textured card, and I cut it to 3.5 by 5.5, so that bit's going to sit in the middle. So we can put that away because we're going to work on this bit. So the idea is I want the snowflakes on here. So I want to lay them out first to get an idea of where I want them, and then we're just going to snip off the excess again with the scissors, and you know, it'll give like a sort of beautiful dimension to it. That's the idea. Right, so I'm hoping that's pretty dry. So you want a decent pair of scissors here, and we're just going to start and cut these snowflakes off. Now it's quite sad to cut. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted that dimension from them, so I'm happy with that. That is beautiful. So we're going to take our sort of candy cane background, and I'm going to put these upon some just little foam pads. They're not really dead thick. And then I've already done a little sentiment, which I heat embossed with silver embossing powder. So let's get this straight. I think that is absolutely gorgeous, I really do. So I've stamped sparkly greetings, heat embossed it as well. Actually, let me see, because we're probably going to have to put it like over a snowflake. I think we'll have it hanging off just like that, so we don't need any more foam pads because we've got enough. We'll just have it hanging off so it'll stick on the glittery snowflakes, but you're going to want to let this dry for a bit because it's sticking on the glitter. It will stick, but I just want to give you the idea. Wow, that is gorgeous. And that's just with some scrappy bits of paper, foam, and some glitter card and some snowflake dies. So let's move on to number 7. Alright everyone, I believe we're on card 7 now. So again, I've got another 5x7. Now what I've done is I've took a smaller piece, which is going to be the card front, just like 1/8 of an inch smaller, and I've just cut a circle out of it. The circle, just for your reference, is 3 1/4 inches. I've got my 5x7 card base, and then what I've done is I found this sort of embroidery hoop die in my stash. So what I'm going to do is I've cut like the sort of bits for the hole, like the stitching in here, and then this bit is going to go, will end up going over the top. Now it's going to be white on white, all white. So for these, you've got to make sure you're using the same cardstock so you're not getting different shades of white. I've just took some of my little border dies, created a couple of little borders here, and just some little houses and trees and, you know, bits and bobs. So what I'm going to do is, let me get this. So this is going to be, these will be too big, but we'll just cut them down. So I'm going to create like a little scene, you know, something like that. So, and then I'm going to put, I mean, I don't know where they're going to go yet, I haven't decided, but I'm going to make a little winter scene just with the little dies that I've got. you know, probably just something, whatever you fancy, whatever little dies you've got, you know, it's up to you. And then when I've done that, I will put this behind the hole and then glue it onto the card front. That's the idea. So I've got some Sizzix Expand paste, which makes really good snow. Sorry, yeah, expand paste. So I'm going to put a little bit on the roofs and a bit on the trees and just give it a little bit more of a wintry look. And I've got some stickles here which I might pop some of them on. So this looks yellow, but it does dry white, and you literally only need a tiny bit, but you can, you know, use whatever you use for your snow and stuff. And you just need a little bit on, and then you just use your heat tool and it will turn into sort of snow. So let me quickly show you what it's like. Just got my heat tool here. See what I mean? Can you see how that's gone like really white? As I said, it looks yellow in the tub, but it does dry white. So I'm going to put some of that on there and then I'll come back. Righto, so I've done that. Sorry if you can hear the rain, it always seems to rain when I come in here. So there we go, I've got some little snowy bits on my little houses and things. So the first one I'm going to have about here. So I am literally just going to glue that on. So I'll have that one about there. Trim that off. And then we'll have this one sort of, I'll have this one like this, and then you can just test where you want your little houses or whatever you're gonna be using. One out, and then I'm going to put this hoop around the outside. Bit of nice snow in the way. Beautiful. And then I've got, where is it? I had my sentiment ready and I've lost it. There it is. From our home to yours, we'll use black VersaFine, if I can find that. Honestly, this desk is an absolute mess. Just bear with us. Right, found it. It was buried. Wow, that rain is unbelievable. So, I hope I don't ruin this. From our home to yours. Yes. Okay, so what I might do as well, I might just round the corners. I love that actually. So simple. So I've got some stickles here. Might just put a bit on the little sort of hill bits just to give it a bit of sparkle. You can even put some on the snow as well if you want, make the snow sparkly. Hope you can see. I really like that. That's a lovely white on white card, I think. So we will move on to number 8. Right, card 8. So this one I've cut to around just under 6 by 6. This is going to be the card front that we're going to work on. So what I've done is I've took a stamp set, I've had a moustache, this one here. I get asked about this a lot. I bought this when I went to America and I'm sure I got it from Joann's. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that's where it was from. Americans might recognise this, I don't know, but that's where I got it from. Lovely stamp. Got these, creates these beautiful sort of big you know, trees. So we're going to make it like a winter scene. So I've got that for now. I have cut out a little moon just from a bit of the masking sheets. I'm going to stick the moon probably there. So I'll stick that on first. I've got tumbled glass, broken china, and I'm going to kind of cover the whole card in the tumbled glass. Then I am going to sort of come in around the sides and the edges with the broken china and then just see how that looks. And then I will stamp these in black and I'll heat emboss it straight away with clear powder just so it doesn't look dull. And then we'll just see how it's looking from there. So I'm going to stick my little, what will be my little moon on. And then, so now I am going to stamp the sort of forest a little bit up, probably, so that I've got enough left to make some shadows and stuff. of like snow underneath the trees. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put that about here. And I mean, I can peel this off before I stamp the trees, because then it looks like the sort of trees from where the person's standing will be like all positioned over the moon or whatever. So I think I can do that. So I will peel the, whatchamacallit, the little moon off. And get it off. There we go. And then I think I'm going to get the stamping platform because I don't want to mess up the trees. Sorry everyone, I've got a bit of ahead of myself. So I actually decided to get some faded jeans and go in with a bit of that. Now, I've done this before. I've got this stencil. It's, you know, just got all these little bits, and I think it's really good for sort of resembling like the little bits on a moon. So I am just going to go in, I think. I only want a little bit. And I'm just, what have I got? I've got some pumice stone, and I only want like a tiny little bit on, just to, I think that ink's gone dry, just to put a bit of shading on this to make it look like, you know, the little bits that you can see on the moon. Hope it works. That'll do. This ink's gone quite dry. So yeah, now I can put it in the platform and we'll get it stamped. So just put it in, and then I want it, you know, obviously a bit higher up because I want that to be sort of snow at the bottom. Yep, that's pretty good. Sorry, just whacked the phone. Let me get the powder on this. Okay, I will get this heat set. Now I didn't use an embossing sort of buddy thing, but I'm not really bothered about getting it anywhere because it's just, you know, sort of clear powder. So let me get this heat set and I'll be back. Okay, so I heat embossed the trees, and what I did was I just took some white acrylic paint and I did a bit of splattering. And I've also got a gel pen here, and I don't know if you can see, but what I've been doing is I've been just popping it on the trees there. Can you see? Just like, you know, sort of to make it look like there's snow on it. And I also kind of dabbed the pen, you know, just around like that. So I think that does look a lot better with the white gel pen. So what I've done is I've took an alphabet die set, and I've got the words merry, and I'm going to cut them out probably somewhere about there. Now I want to really get them straight, so I may end up taping them on just to make sure. And then I've obviously only got one R, so I'm going to have to, you know, run it through twice to cut the extra R out there. And then when you cut them out, keep them letters. And what I've done is, out of that 4mm foam again, I've cut the same mirror out of foam. So I will run it through the die cutting machine and I'll be back. Right, so I cut it out. I've just stuck it on a 6x6 card base. And then I've put the letters on the foam that I told you about, and I'm basically just going to pop these back in on the foam. Just pop them back in. This has turned out really nice. I had this in my head and I didn't know if it was going to work. And then what I've done is I've cut Christmas from a die. Again, I've cut it from the 4mm foam. And I'm going to glue it onto my foam, and then I'm going to put it on the card. And that's basically it. Now I did want to do some like sort of little shadowy bits here, but I can't find any of my little tiny blending brushes. I don't know, I hope I haven't got rid of them because I've been having clear outs. Some of them were alt new ones as well, and they were pretty expensive, but I can't find them. They're probably buried somewhere. I can't find anything in here lately. I've got so much stuff, it's ridiculous. So that's on there, and then I'm going to glue this onto the card. And I think I'm going to put it here, just across the bottom. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? That's turned out better than I thought. I'm over the moon with that. That's lovely. And you know, you don't have to be an artist to create something like that. I mean, I'm a crafter, I make cards and all sorts, but I don't class myself as an artist. And I think a lot of people, you know, you're sort of scared to try different things, but honestly, it's just a few ink pads, a gel pen, a stamp. So yes, that's beautiful. And that's card number 8, I think. So you've got card number 9. Right, so card 9. I took an A4 piece of card and I just cut it down the middle at 4 1/8, scored it at 5 7/8, and that's give us a card base. Well, 2 actually, so I'll have 1 for the next card. I took this same embossing folder I used in the first card. I think it's the Pine Cones by Lisa Horton. This is a really simple card, dead quick. And I embossed a piece of card, but then what I did was I just sort of sliced the 2 corner pieces off, and then I took a piece of mirror card and I just did the same. But you could actually stick this on a piece of mirror card and then cut round it with your scissors. Basically, I'm just going to stick it on there. And that's just, it's so easy and simple. So let me quickly stick this on. And I mean, that looks so pretty, but it's just something different, but it's so simple to do, just a bit of an odd shape. Where did I put my Merry Christmas? Just a second. Oh, there. So I've got Merry Christmas. I've cut them out of gold Merry card, the same card. And I'm just going to glue these on to the front. There we go. I like that. That's number 9. So let's move on to the last one, number 10. Okay, so we're finally on card 10. This is a 6x6 card base. Now what I've done is I took 4 different embossing folders and I cut squares which measure 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 or thereabouts, maybe it's a little bit smaller, and I just embossed them all using a different folder. I've got a piece of Miri card here which I've cut just slightly smaller than the 6x6 card, and I've got some foam pads on the back. I'm not going to stick it down yet because I want to put some ribbon on, so I'm going to put these on because I don't want to blind you with this Miri card. Basically these are going to stick on here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some ribbon across the middle. I've tied a little bow, which I'm not sure whereabouts I'm going to have the bow yet, maybe it's in the middle. And then I've just cut out Christmas wishes, and I'm basically just going to put that on. So again, it's another really simple, easy card. So let me glue them onto the Miri card and then I'll come back. Okay, so glued them on. I'm going to take the foam pads off and then I will put the ribbon in the middle. Just like that, and then I can put this on the front. You know, I've just had another thought there. I wonder if it would look nice if I put the ribbon here as well, and then we could have kind of turned it in to like a present. Yeah, I think I am actually. I'm going to do that. Got a glue dot here. We'll stick that in the middle. And then all that's left to do is glue our little Christmas wishes on. Isn't that a fun little card? I like that. So that's it. Wow, that's been a long 2.5 days. Right, let's get them all in. I've got a big pile here, so we can lay them out. That is one of my favourites. So is the shaker one. Love that one as well. And that's a favourite. This definitely a favourite. Yeah, so which one is your favourite? I hope you're going to try them. Let us know in the comments. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I really do. So yes, I'm going to start my 2025 advent calendar now. So hopefully that'll be up in a week or so. I don't know if I did one last year, I can't remember, but we're due a new one, so that'll be coming up soon. I hope you like that. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, take care, and bye for now.